Microphone's on. Well done. There we go. I've had a technical glitch to start with this evening. Good evening and welcome to our news programme live on this Saturday, the 6th of February at just on 6 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. First thing to say this week is the vaccinations with COVID are now over 300,000 in Dorset. What a fantastic number of people that have been vaccinated. But some people are struggling to get for their vaccination appointments. And if you are struggling, Dorset Council will do their best to help. And you can contact them on 01305 221 000. So that's if you need any help with getting to your vaccinations, as in, you haven't got your own transport or you're elderly, do give Dorset Council a call and they'll do their best to help. Talking to this week's news, Dorset Police are asking for some help. A couple of cases this week. One is a burglary at a home in Owermoyne. And they're appealing for witnesses or anyone with information. A property in Wareham Road was broken into between 12:30 p.m. and 1:10 p.m. on Tuesday the 2nd of March, that's this week. And a number of items were stolen, including medals, collectible coins and jewellery. Police Constable James Curtis Burchett of Dorset Police said, "I'm keen to hear from anyone who witnessed any suspicious activity in the area on Tuesday the 2nd of March and would ask any motorists in particular who were in the vicinity and have dash cam footage, please to get in touch with the Dorset Police." Dorset Police are also investigating criminal damage to a van in Weymouth and are appealing for witnesses for that as well. The damage happened between 2:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. on Friday the 26th of February, that's a week ago on Friday, when a Ford Transit van that was parked on Dorchester Road near to Green Hill Dental Practice was damaged. Damage was caused to both sides of the vehicle, the bonnet and the rear doors, and it's also reported that one of the tyres was flat as well. If you witnessed anything or have any information on either of those crimes, please do get in touch with Dorset Police on 101, or if you wish, anonymously through Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. The Queen is going to address the nation via BBC One in a rare televised speech this weekend. Not something she normally does at this time, but the speech will mark Commonwealth Day, and the annual Commonwealth Day service would normally take place on March the 8th, that's Monday, and would usually be attended by the Queen and other members of the royal family. However, amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the ceremony has been scrapped and the Queen will instead share her message via BBC One at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Buckingham Palace has now released further details about the special programme that will include the Queen speaking from Windsor Castle and other contributions from Westminster Abbey. The Prince of Wales, the Duchess of Cornwall, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the Countess of Wessex will all take part in the programme, a source from the Abbey said. The Dean of Westminster, the Very Reverend Dr. David Hoyle, said the Commonwealth Service is one of the Abbey's most important annual services, but as it is not possible to gather here, we have seized the chance to take the celebration well beyond these walls. So that's 5 p.m. Tomorrow, Sunday, on BBC. Of course, this will come less than a day before Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's interview on Oprah Winfrey is to be aired on CBS in America, if we're giving even-handed reporting to the royal family. COVID tests are now available to all businesses in England and they will be free until June. Previously, they were only available to larger businesses, but the government has announced today that this now includes businesses who employ fewer than 50 employees. Businesses of all sizes can register from today in order to receive lateral flow tests for their workers, the Department of Health and Social Care has said. The rapid COVID-19 test provides results in less than 30 minutes, helping people to isolate immediately, the Department of Health said. The tests are free until the 30th of June and companies can register up until the 31st of March. You have to register on or by the 31st of March to be able to get access to these tests free of charge. So far, the larger companies in the country, amounting to 3,500 businesses, have signed up to the offer, and are testing people regularly. They did recently reduce the numbers to 250 or more employees and say as from today it's now all businesses, including those that employ less than 50 people. Health Secretary Matt Hancock said the regular workplace testing was a vital part of our route back to normal life. These rapid tests will allow positive cases of COVID-19 to be caught quickly, which is crucial to helping businesses protect their workspaces and other employees as we cautiously lift the restrictions. If you're a local business, a small business, you can register online at www.gov.uk/get-workplace-coronavirus-tests. And if you just put workplace coronavirus test UK government in Google, that gets there straight away for you. Something we've heard of before a few times on this programme, the Dorset Digital Hotline continues to be busy supporting the people of Dorset with their home IT questions. From the 5th of January to the 5th of February, the Dorset Digital Hotline received up to 3 times more calls than they normally get in a month. The Digital Champions is operated by volunteers, and it's helped people in the last month with a wide range of inquiries, from using Zoom to doing things with new devices that they have bought. The hotline was set up by Dorset Council in March last year during the first lockdown, and when the Digital Champions were no longer able to help people face to face in libraries, and this is when the telephone service started. If people experience digital problems or just need general advice on using devices or getting online, it's more important than ever that they can get help, a spokesman for Dorset Council said. Now, the digital helpline or the digital hotline can be contacted on 01305 221 048. That's 01305 221 048. It's open Mondays to Fridays from 10 a.m. to midday, except bank holidays. But outside those times, you can leave a message and someone will call you back. So you can call that number at any time and leave a message. Following an announcement with regards to the Weymouth Seafood Festival, the organisers have faced criticism of a change of venue for the event and the introduction of a charge. The event, which is usually held in July on Weymouth Harbour side and attracts over 50,000 visitors and normally doesn't charge, has announced plans to move to the car park at the rear of the pavilion for this year's event and to charge a £10 entry fee. Organisers have responded to the criticism about the event's location and charge and have said they hoped that moves were a one-off for this year to help them cope with the coronavirus uncertainty. The plans for this year's detail a move to the peninsula behind the Weymouth Pavilion and new dates of the 11th and 12th of September, with only limited visitor numbers, strict crowd control and a ticket-only system with tickets charged at £10 for entry. Festival director Stuart Cooper said the changes were made as a cautious attempt to deal with any COVID restrictions or social distancing measures, should they still be in place by September, and as a way of covering additional costs that the organisers may face after the event was unable to take place last year. He said, firstly, we hope that this can be a temporary move and that we are able to return to a free festival at our usual location in future years. Harbourside businesses that usually benefit from the trade of visitors that attend the Seafood Festival have criticised this year's plans. Keith Rupp's, owner of the Custom House Cafe on Custom House Quay, said, "It's our busiest day of the year. To take it off of us is disgusting. I think it's terrible because it's not going to be very popular. You can't charge for an event that is usually free." Michelle Ludlow, owner of Nana Moon's Cafe on Trinity Road, said, "It did bring an awful lot of business. We were banking on these events in July to boost our take-ins this year. Obviously, it would be good to see the festival where it should be. It is behind the pavilion and tickets will be £10. By the time they've walked down there, they will just walk on down the seafront. We are in a pandemic. Most people are on furlough. Even in September, they aren't going to be using their money for paying for things like that." What do you think about the change of venue and the charge for the Seafood Festival this year? Maybe you'd like to let us know. Drop us an email on news@wykeregis.tv. Another story from Dorset Council is celebrating the announcement that it is to receive £19 million of government funding to reduce its carbon footprint. Councillors and officers are working hard on how they intend to update and upgrade Dorset Council's properties using the £19 million of grant funding. It's been awarded by the government to help tackle the climate and ecology emergency. This programme of work will be a major step in the Council's ambition to become zero carbon by 2040 and accelerate several actions in the Climate and Ecology Emergency Strategy Action Plan. Goodness, that's a mouthful, is it? Climate and Ecology Emergency Strategy Action Plan, helping them to meet their 2014 carbon targets. Of course, without reliance on funds funded by the council taxpayers of Dorset. Dorset Council will now develop a works programme for its properties in the coming months. This will include surveys for lighting, fabric, roof structures and solar, as well as systems designed for heat pumps, solar panels, LED lighting, building energy management systems and fabric improvements such as roofs. Last year, the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy launched the Public Sector Decarbonisation Scheme. Delivered by Salix Finance, the national scheme offers £1 billion of grant funding for capital energy savings products, such as making public buildings more energy efficient and installing low carbon heating measures. Councillor Ray Bryan, Dorset Council's portfolio holder for Highways, Travel and Environment, said, "I'm thrilled that we have been awarded this grant funding for such vital work. The £19 million is a huge help in realising our carbon neutral ambitions as per our Climate and Ecology Emergency Declaration." Plans have been unveiled to create a temporary outdoor seating area on Weymouth harbour side to enable pubs and restaurants to reopen next month by removing free parking bays along the quay. I guess this is a bit more welcome after the announcement about the seafood festival. Following the announcement of the government to set out a roadmap for easing of lockdown measures, including dates for when pubs, bars and restaurants are allowed to reopen, the government's plan states that only hospitality business with outside seating provision will be allowed to open on April the 12th. Dorset Council is proposing to create a space for tables and chairs to be put on the streets outside pubs and restaurants along the north side of the harbour at Custom House Quay from April the 12th onwards, to enable those without outside seating to reopen. The council said this would not only involve full pedestrianisation of the road, but would mean around 39 free parking bays would be removed in order to keep the road open to traffic. And finally, in our news headlines, the A35 Dorchester Bypass, and we will mention this again in the traffic and travel, is set to close every night this week for resurfacing. Highways England have confirmed that the stretch is to close from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. for 5 nights, starting on Monday night. Regular drivers of this stretch have been narrowly avoiding numerous potholes along this stretch, some of which are more prominent around the football stadium roundabout. The diversions will be in place, and motorists are being advised to follow the signage that is in place to help them. There we go, that's this week's headlines news. Our first report this evening is about International Women's Day, which is marked on Monday the 8th, so 2 days' time. A movement that has its roots in the UK in the early 1900s, but is now promoted by the United Nations around the globe. Our report tonight on International Women's Day is provided by Lydia.
Monday the 8th of March is International Women's Day. It celebrates the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women globally. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Significant activity is witnessed worldwide as groups come together to celebrate women's achievements or rally for women's equality. Marked annually on March the 8th, International Women's Day, IWD, is one of the most important days of the year to celebrate women's achievements, raise awareness about women's equality, lobby for accelerated gender parity, fundraise for female-focused charities. The campaign theme for International Women's Day 2021 is Choose to Challenge. A challenged world is an alert world. And from challenge comes change. International Women's Day has occurred for well over a century, with the first gathering held in 1911. Purple, green and white are the colors of International Women's Day. Purple signifies justice and dignity. Green symbolizes hope. White represents purity, albeit a controversial concept. The colors originated from the Women's Social and Political Union, WSPU, in the UK in 1908. International Women's Day is not country, group, nor organization specific. No one government, NGO, charity, corporation, academic institution, women's network, or media hub is solely responsible for International Women's Day. The day belongs to all groups collectively everywhere. You may ask, do we still need an International Women's Day? Well, there's no place for complacency. According to the World Economic Forum, sadly none of us will see gender parity in our lifetimes, and nor likely will many of our children. Gender parity will not be attained for almost a century. There's urgent work to do, and we can all play a part.
There we go, that's International Women's Day, which is on Monday, the 8th of March. Our next story this evening is we're going to hear from our intrepid walkers who are doing their virtual walk from John O'Groats back to Land's End. Last week, if I remember, we left them at the Isle of Sheppey. So we're now going to go over to Janet, ably assisted by Jeff on graphics, to see where they've been over the last week.
Hello again. I'm here to give you details of the next exciting instalment in our lockdown walk. Remember last week we'd spent a lot of time in London. We were beginning to hanker for the sea again. So we went from the Isle of Sheppey along the Thames estuary to the pretty medieval town of Faversham and on to Whitstable. At Whitstable, Ali tried his hand at diving for oysters, but the sailors in our party decided to have an afternoon of dinghy sailing. When we got everybody back together again, we continued along the coast path until we came to Margate. Margate is famous for the visits that Turner used to make there, so we decided to visit the Turner Contemporary Art Gallery, which also had an excellent cafe. Everybody wanted to go and see Canterbury, so we decided to head that way via Herne Common so that Ali could visit the Wildwood Trust. They have a collection of native British wildlife, past and present, bears and wolves. Ali tried to communicate with the wolves, but they didn't seem to understand his howls. We went on to Canterbury, to the stunning Canterbury Cathedral, where we arrived in time for evening prayers, which as ever was quite magical. Longing for the sea once more, we walked towards the famous White Cliffs of Dover. At Hythe we followed the tracks of the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch Railway. Its tiny trains make people look like giants. And of course Ali had to have a go at driving a steam engine. Next, Hastings, and memories of our school history lessons. Ali alarmed us by screaming that he had an arrow in his eye, but it turned out to be a child's toy, so we all calmed down and continued our walk. Along the coast to Eastbourne, where I was able to share news with my cousins and stroll along the pier, Ali was very disappointed at not being allowed to jump from the end into the sea. But we told him that would be extremely dangerous. Our last section of coast before we head inland takes us to the vibrant town of Brighton, where we visited the Royal Pavilion, which currently has exhibits on loan from Buckingham Palace. Ali took the opportunity to swim across to Shoreham-on-Sea to visit his sister-in-law. Then off to Guildford. The cathedral here was consecrated in 1961 and is built of brick. It sits on a hill overlooking the town, and the weather vane on the tower is a golden angel. Our next stop is Maidenhead, where we join the Thames Path National Trail. We aim to walk to the river's source at Kemble in Gloucestershire. As we pass through Henley, Ali can't resist rowing along the river. So now's the time for Jeff's report to see where we've ended up this week. Kelmscott Manor. It's about 20 miles short of our goal to reach the source of the Thames. Ali keeps on about finding ketchup there, but I think he's got the wrong end of the stick somehow. But if you come and join me again next week, we'll find out what really is the source of the Thames. Bye for now.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you, Jeff, for the graphics. I think we'll have to have a word with Jeff because I see this week we've got a little green motorbike doing the walk rather than a walker. So I don't know if that was put in to see if we're actually noticing what's going on, but hopefully our walkers are not cheating by using motorbikes. But we'll catch up with them next week. As the weather improves, hopefully some of us are getting out into our gardens, and if we've got gardens and they're large gardens, a lot of what we'll be doing at this time of year is clearing up. And of course, if your gardens are anything like my garden and my drive, they get full up with leaves and rubbish. Most of it nothing to do with anything in our garden, but things that blow in from elsewhere. This week, Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service have put out a special appeal on garden safety, and specifically to do with bonfires. Unfortunately, they had to deal with rather a large fire in the last week that started as a result of a garden bonfire. Our report this evening on garden safety is brought to us by Jack.
As we move into warmer weather and start to get our gardens in order, we start to gather up all sorts of leaves, branches and other materials from the garden that we need to get rid of. For most people, a good bonfire in the garden proves to be the easiest way to get rid of all the waste material. Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service is reminding the public about the importance of garden safety following an incident involving an out-of-control bonfire last week. Spring is almost here, which means lighter evenings and warmer weather are on their way. So it's likely that many will want to start getting out in the garden and perhaps burning garden waste, especially since many household recycling centres aren't in full operation. Station manager Richard Humphrey said, "We are asking the public to remember the importance of fire safety in the garden, and in turn, ensure our resources can be used for the vital support of our communities." Bonfires are very common in the spring and summer, but they can get out of control very easily. If you want to burn off garden waste, please follow our safety advice, and never use flammable liquids such as petrol or paraffin to start a bonfire. Other top tips for the safe use of bonfires include: site any bonfire well away from buildings, fences, trees and garden structures. Have a garden hose to hand in case the fire starts to get out of control. Don't light a bonfire on a windy day, as it could flare up more than you expect. Be courteous to your neighbors. If you're planning a substantial bonfire, let them know, and stay with it at all times to ensure that it remains safe. If you're intending to have a large bonfire, use the online form on the Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue website, as we often receive emergency calls from people who can see lots of smoke, and it helps us to know whether this could be a controlled burn. The following animation from Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue reminds us about bonfire safety.
Thank you, Jack. Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue, and of course Cambridgeshire Fire and Rescue. Now moving on, tonight we are going to hear two book reviews. Two books that do have a linked theme, but are actually quite different. Certainly one of them interests me, and I wonder if they'll interest you.
Hello. I have got two books to share with you this week, and they both involve older people. I can't think why that should be. The first one is by Richard Osman of Pointless fame, and is centred in a retirement village which appears so good that I'm thinking of putting my name down for it straight away. While having none of the usual responsibilities of life, 4 of the residents can spend their time solving murders. The idea that the elderly are better suited to solve crimes than the professionals is revived in this book, with the CID being one step behind, in true Miss Marple fashion. Personally, though, I don't feel the characters are as cleverly depicted as those of Agatha Christie, but perhaps that would be a big ask. I found it more like the famous 5 for grown-ups, actually. Reviews seem somewhat mixed, with raves from such as The Guardian and rather more muted responses from many of those who had bought the book on Amazon. It is, though, a bit of fun to read if you want something to entertain you in times of stress. And if you do enjoy it, watch out, for I am sure there will be many more rollicking adventures ahead. In the next book, The Carer by Deborah Mcgash, author of The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, the question of age is taken a bit more seriously. The central character needs more physical care, and the family is faced with the problem of what is to be done. However, they find much more to be faced as the characters discover facts about their past which turn over their perceptions of their happy family life as children. These discoveries in turn make them reconsider how they are living their present lives and make changes accordingly. Although it covers many events which have had a defining effect on the characters, reading it leaves you with a feeling of hope. Hope that they may be able to move on, but above all, hope for all of us that we can always change. why don't you tell us about some of the books you've read? It would be lovely to hear from you and get some ideas for new reading ahead. Bye for now, and good reading.
Thank you, Janet. Two interesting books there, and certainly the one by Richard Osman sounds a bit of fun and maybe one to look out for. So we've talked in this programme about reading books if we're stuck inside, and also about doing the gardening if the weather is better. So I wonder what the weather has in store for us the rest of this weekend and the weekend ahead. So first of all, we're going to go over to Alex Deakin at the Met Office to get an update on the national weather picture.
Hello, welcome to your latest update for this weekend from the Met Office. For most, it's going to be a dry weekend, but the mornings are going to be chilly with a frosty start to Saturday and Sunday for many. Dry and bright kind of sums it up. Won't be sunny everywhere, not as sunny as last weekend, and it won't be as mild as last weekend either. So where the cloud will continue to thicken on Saturday evening, and we'll see a bit more of that patchy rain trickling in across the Highlands. Otherwise, it's a dry night. Again, question marks about how much cloud we see, and that impacts the temperatures, because where we've got clear skies, again, a frosty start to Sunday for England and Wales. The thicker cloud, though, means it won't be as cloudy, as cold to start the day across Scotland and Northern Ireland, and that cloud making for quite a grey day for Northern Ireland, Scotland, with some patchy rain, especially across the far north. And for the south, it's going to be, by and large, another dry day for England and Wales. Again, quite a bit of cloud around, but some places seeing some decent spells of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures getting up to 6, 7, maybe 8 Celsius, 8 or 9 further north, but with thicker cloud here. Perhaps won't feel as mild on Sunday afternoon. So overall, for many, it's a dry weekend. There will be some morning frost around and a bit of sunshine here and there. We are looking at a bigger change, more unsettled weather as the week goes on. More details, as always, on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook.
Thank you, Alex. And as Alex says, there are more unsettled weather ahead. Mind you, I don't know about it being any different than what we've been used to for several weeks. So the local weather this week seems to fit in with that pattern of either being cold and dry or warmer and wet and windy. And for this week, it's going to warm up as the week goes on. But as we get to the middle of the week and towards the end of the week, it's going to become more unsettled. So from Wednesday onwards in particular, we can expect it to be dull. We can also expect sunny periods, and we can also expect some showers. So a bit of something for everyone in the weather this week. And I didn't put the weather up. Let me put the weather widget up. There we go. There's the weather widget for this week. I'll leave that up there for a second in case you're interested in that. So moving on to travel and road closures. The road closure on Custom House Quay continues. I guess that's going to finish soon, so that the pubs and that can get their tables out, as we heard earlier in the news. And as mentioned, also the A35 Dorchester Bypass is shut every evening this week from 8 PM to 6 AM. So be very, very aware if you're out in the evening. Diversions will be in place. Also, to let you know, there will be roadworks on Wyke Road being done by Wessex Water over the next few days, with temporary traffic lights in place and delays to traffic to be expected. Other roadworks are in Weymouth and Wyke Regis are at Faircross Avenue by Southern Gas Networks, Portland Road by Travel Dorset, Brighton Crescent and Mandeville Road by Wessex Water, and on Portland at Mulberry Avenue by BT and New Road by Southern Gas Networks and Wide Street by T-Mobile. These latter roadworks are not expected to cause any major disruption. On the trains, there is a bus replacement service this weekend between Dorchester South and Dorchester West and Weymouth. So even if you're going a short journey on the train, you won't be going on the train, you'll be going by bus over the weekend. Moving to our What's On, we have mentioned over the recent weeks that the Noath Fort is hoping to be open again on the 16th of May, when it will have the radio-controlled tanks, and they will be there again in June, July and August, and they will be having a presentation of Treasure Island by My Theatre Company on the 2nd of June. So there we go, that's them opening up a bit. Also, the Pavilion Theatre is starting to put information on about their shows, and it looks very much that they hope to be open from I think it's the beginning of April, when they are hoping to actually have some shows socially distanced, and I think in June they're hoping for a replay of the pantomime that they had to cut short earlier in the year. Also, the Chesil Rocks Festival has indicated that they hope to run on the 17th to the 19th of June in Langton Herring, and as we mentioned earlier, the Dorset Seafood Festival hopes to be running on the 11th and 12th of September. So a few things coming up. Our What's On is starting to get a little bit busier, and I guess it will as time goes on now. Now we're going to move on to our film section for this week, and you'll remember I mentioned towards the end of last year a film called Ammonite, which was about Mary Anning, the fossil hunter, and situated around Lyme Regis, and that was going to hope to be a big cinema release, but obviously with cinemas closed, that hasn't happened. We now have heard this week that it will be released on the 26th of March on premium digital paid for channels, and it won't be going for a cinema release. Like many films, and we've heard previously, they are having to release on satellite and cable channels to get their money back, and they can't afford to wait for cinemas to reopen. Moving to our sort of film review this week, something a little different. We're pleased to announce at White Regis TV here that not only have we got licences now for providing Met Office material and UK Parliament material, but we've got agreement from both Disney and Warner Brothers to get early release of their information and to actually run that on our channel as well. So we're very pleased about that, and we're obviously working with other people as well to get permissions to run their material. So this week we're going to cover Warner Brothers' announcement this week that the Good Morning Britain presenters Kate Garraway and Ben Shepherd are going to voice a pair of show-stopping elephants in the highly anticipated film Tom and Jerry the movie. I don't know if you're a Tom and Jerry fan. I certainly spent many hours watching Tom and Jerry when I was younger. One of the most beloved rivalries in history is reignited when Jerry moves into New York's finest hotel on the eve of the wedding of the century, forcing the event's desperate planner to hire Tom to get rid of him. In director Tim Story's Tom and Jerry the movie, the ensuing cat-and-mouse battle threatens to destroy her career, the wedding, and possibly the hotel itself. But soon, an even bigger problem arises, a diabolically ambitious staffer conspiring against all three of them. The eye-popping blend of classical animation and live action, Tom and Jerry's new big screen adventure stakes new ground for the iconic characters and forces them to do unthinkable work together to save the day. A Warner Brothers picture and a Warner Animation Group presentation, a Tim Story film, Tom and Jerry the movie, will be distributed worldwide by Warner Brothers Pictures. We're going to hear now from Kate and Ben now about their part in the movie.
All right, Kate. Game face. Look impressive.
FYI, Ben, I'm always impressive.
LOL.
So my character Ben, the elephant, with Kate, we are very impressive theatrical elephants that are part of the huge wedding at the hotel, and we're there just to show off our style, our panache.
Yeah, we're just there to be impressive.
To be elegant.
And carry in the stars.
Yes, quite.
Who are getting married.
Unfortunately,
it all goes horribly wrong.
Thanks to Tom and Jerry. Particularly to little Jerry.
OMG! Is that a mouse?
OMG!
Mouse! There's an inner elephant in both of us.
I loved Tom and Jerry as I was a kid. I was always on the side of Tom. Is that a surprise?
No. You like cats, you love cats.
I love cats, and I felt like Jerry just was taking the mick a bit.
Jerry just owns Tom endlessly.
Yeah. I maybe identify with Tom. You own me. You are the Jerry.
Settles
to
into
my Tom.
roles.
Yeah. Oh, get off!
There you go, Kate and Ben having some fun there in the voiceovers for their part in Tom and Jerry the movie. And now if you're a Tom and Jerry fan, all I can say is just hang on to the end of the programme. There might be a bit more Tom and Jerry as we go out tonight. So just a reminder that this evening at 7:30 we've got our usual quiz, which you're all welcome to join us on all the usual channels. If you're interested in the services at All Saints Church, there's a service live stream tomorrow morning at 9:30 and another one at 5 o'clock on Monday. Now, most importantly, as we sign off this week, things are opening up a little bit. Do stay safe, do be careful, do get your vaccination if you're invited to go. And if you struggle to get to a vaccination point, do give Dorset Council a ring and see if you can get some help. So, as we finish, for those that are fans of Tom and Jerry, here is the full movie trailer for Tom and Jerry the movie. Good night. See you next week at 6 o'clock on Saturday.
After a lifetime of being the world's most famous enemies,
you can count on me like 1, 2, 3.
Tom and Jerry are about to start over.
'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh yeah.
In the big city.
This hotel has been host to 4 presidents, 3 popes, 2 kings, and we're about to host the wedding of the century.
Do you think you're qualified to take on this position?
I shine under pressure, like a diamond. Or Rihanna.
One other thing. We have a mouse problem.
With the what now? I'll catch it, sir.
Everybody gonna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try.
Oh, wow, this is so detailed. We could hire an exterminator, or we can leverage millions of years of predatory evolution.
If a picture of this mouse is tweeted out to Instabook Face or TikTok, we will be ruined.
No, sir, that's not gonna happen. That rodent is toast.
I will not let this hotel be ruined by a cat and a mouse!
He's toying with us.
I think I might have just pulled this off.
Really?
Blowing up the whole